Welcome to Home's Room. Just like Homeroom, we start off our day getting together with our homies, swapping stories, even a little kiss and tell action. This podcast contains language not suitable for younger listeners, topics about sex and mental health. Discretion is advised. Our views are our own. Let class begin. All right, welcome to Home's Room. Joined again by Kaitlin. What's up? How are you?
Hello, Matt. I'm really excited for this week's episode. So everybody knows, Matt randomly texted me earlier this weekend and was like, "Hey, I'm not doing so super hot. I've been dealing with intrusive thoughts. So maybe let's talk about that on Monday." And I was like, "Yes, I'm here for it." So I'm first and foremost want to check in with you. Are you doing better? How are you? What's up?
Yeah, I am. Actually, you saying, do you want to just work this shit out over an episode made it more stable, I guess. I felt like somebody was here for me and not some, just are you okay? With no follow through. You're like, let's do this as an episode because it needs to be done. And then you asked if I was all right. You showed up for me and then checked in. And I think that was
I mean, I still care if that you're fine, but of course I'm an open book. You're an open book. And as soon as you texted me oh yeah, let's do this for the episode of Monday instead of what we were going to talk about. I was like, yep, absolutely. Let's do it. So
it's good. And I mean, for anybody struggling with intrusive thoughts or anybody that has that, I didn't really understand that until I went to therapy, not, the last time I was doing it, and talked to her about, what I had going on and really understood what intrusive thoughts are and, how no matter it's not, depression and intrusive thoughts kind of go hand in hand, but they're not the same thing. And it's harder to get out of intrusive thoughts because they sound like your own thoughts. Depression comes on in waves. It bounces around you. You have the ability to kind of feel it when it's around. Where intrusive thoughts, it could be as simple as man, all of a sudden I'm in your head. And you don't know where it came from, so it sounds like your thought pattern. It makes rational sense.
A jarring out of nowhere. You have no control over it. It just comes into your brain, and hi, I'm here. Now deal with it. And
then it's I don't know how it is for you. And I was going to ask you that question, but for me, it's almost kind of a floodgate where once one starts and then the snowball effect happens. And, being a logical person and a rational person, my brain kind of starts to rationalize the thoughts and beat my face in with facts turned into these irrational things. And it's I don't understand, but it makes sense. So, is that how it goes for you?
Yes, absolutely. If it opens the floodgates a lot. I personally struggle with intrusive thoughts related to my dad's hospital stay. I am diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. I think I had it before my dad died, but I definitely have come to terms with the fact that I do have it. So I said it was divine timing, of course, again, that you texted me about that because I had to take my sister to the airport on Thursday evening and then pick her back up on Sunday morning. And doing so, I have to drive by the hospital on the interstate where my dad was at for about a month and a half and then where he ultimately died. So just driving by it and just seeing it and seeing the parking lot and seeing I lived at the hospital every other day because that was their visitor policy was one person a day. And my sister, we took turns. So all of those are always intrusive thoughts about this was my experience at the hospital or I remember dad trying to understand him or and that just opens the floodgates of every other thing that happened, sights, sounds that happened with that whole ordeal. So I totally, absolutely agree. And I kind of talked about it too in our text conversation about how I have a lot of intrusive thought issues with my dad's hospital stay. Clearly. I also have intrusive thought issues with my imposter syndrome, but I don't know, maybe a rabbit hole for this episode. I don't know, but like, yeah, if it's like one comes in and like takes a little chip and then it just like cracks all the way open.
Yeah, I would agree with that. We kind of just talked about, a little bit of this, but definitely disclaimer: we are not professionals. We are, as you have dubbed us, two idiots with internet access and microphones. So these are our opinions. This is our view on a thing. We have no licenses to be as such, so don't take it that way. Go find somebody professional.
We have life experience, Matt. We have life experience.
We do.
And yes, we're two idiots with microphones and internet access, but we're not like, those alpha bros who are like, women are so dumb. Yeah. My woman never ever be posting anything on Instagram. Yeah. Like, no.
Yeah, exactly. We are educated in the life aspect of it. So yeah. And like you said, I think that for everybody it's different, and that is my biggest point. If you can take away anything like this, hopefully it's going to be like a little mini class today, and you might learn some stuff. Hopefully you learn some stuff every like Homes Review episode, but this one might learn you up some stuff on how to deal with that aspect for somebody else, giving support to somebody else, because that's what my goal is to try and give you some tools to help out your friends that are feeling this kind of way, because that was what was making it worse for me all week. Is people were like giving me advice based off of no contextual evidence, because they weren't asking me any of the questions like, what are you actually feeling? They were just throwing advice at me without any kind of context. And at that point it's like, I could try and explain this to you, but you're already so far gone that like to explain it to you would just it would make me have to go relive where I was 10 minutes ago when this conversation started, and I'm already. Can
you give an example of like what that? Sorry to interrupt.
No, you're good.
I'm all over the place there. Sorry, my ADHD is bad today. But anyways, can you give us a specific example of somebody that you maybe reached out to, just saying, "Hey, I'm struggling," and they just jump right into. What suggestions did they give you, and what do you think they could have done better to show up and be better support for you?
So this one's kind of sad, but I believe in being real, and I love her with all my heart, and I talk about how much I love her with all my heart. But my mom, she, I reached out to her, and I'm trying to do better about reaching out to people in general, because I often feel like, people say you can reach out to me, but it's people that like, I don't talk to regularly on like a normal thing. So why would I reach out to you in that moment? But I'm trying to do better about it. So I reached out to my mom, and she gave me like a pep talk about, remember you wrote a book about, survival and, this, that, and the other thing. And you used your experience to write these books about survival. And in my head, I was like, Ma, that I wrote those books from my nightmares and intrusive thoughts, right? So like this exact thing is the fuel for that book. So that's not a good example, because that's what that came from, was me trying to save everybody in my life while nobody shows up for me. So I don't think that was the example you wanted. And that was when I was like, yo, Kaitlin, how are you feeling? You want to do this as an episode? Because like people need to hear some stuff, because like I know you're trying to help, but that wasn't the helpful thing. And I told her as much, and she did try and swing it around to like explain what she was saying, and she did have a valid point, but the context of that book that's not what it was. So yeah, that was the best example I could give.
Okay, I see that. Yeah, I have I struggle with that too. I feel like I don't want to bother anybody. Mm-hmm. Which I don't afford myself the same grace that I give everyone else.
Yeah.
Because when I have people reach out to me finally, and they're like, hey, I'm struggling and I've been struggling, I get like mad at them. I'm like, why? What have I ever done to make you feel like I'm not here for you 100% of the time? Like, why are you reaching out till now? But yet like it's hello pot. Like,
Yeah.
What is it? What my dad always used to say, hello pot, the pot calling the kettle black. Like I love some of those people, you know, unconditionally. And it's like, I'm on the same side of that sometimes. And I'm like, I don't want, like, everybody's busy. I don't really think that, you know, my problems are worth reaching out to somebody about. But also, all of my breaking points have always come when I've tried to soldier on alone. And I finally get to a point where I can't do anymore.
Yeah. I'm curious because you, like, grief is definitely a big part of, you know, what informed that kind of, I would assume, that aspect of, you know, your emotion. And I know for me, like, I'm the person that everybody goes to for, you know, advice. I've somehow become like the patriarch of my family, even though I'm the youngest. And it's such a, like, a jarring place to be because I am the youngest and I've always been the youngest. I can't change that. That's not, there's nothing that's going to make that different. But to have been looked at as the person in charge or the person that everybody looks to for help or guidance or whatever it is, and I'm the youngest, has always been kind of weird. So I kind of wonder if for you, like, if you're the person that, you know, people kind of lean on a little bit because you dealt with stress in their eyes or dealt with grief in their eyes as like something to strive towards, and that kind of makes it harder to go to somebody else for help because you are that person.
Damn, man. Okay. Fuck. Like, I have legitimately never thought that before, but 100%, I think that is accurate. Very astute of you, sir. I've had people, a specific example, I have a really good friend who unexpectedly lost her brother. I wrote about it in my book, which I need to stop saying that. I just want everybody to read my book, and then you'll just know what I'm talking about all the time. But anyways, it's so we were in college together. We were sorority sisters. She unexpectedly lost her younger brother, and she explicitly told me, I know that you have dealt with a loss like this unexpectedly before, so I feel comfortable talking to you about it because you get it. Sometimes, you know, there's been a couple examples of that. A lot of it is doing it the wrong way and just inserting myself. I am a spring into action immediately type of person instead of, and it's something that I've really been trying hard to work on with my little sister, because if there's anybody that I'm going to just like straight up pull up on anybody with, it's going to be my little sister. But sometimes it's more appropriate and far more fitting to just let her vent. Yeah. Instead of listening to respond, instead of listening to hear her. So she'll call me like, oh, something's wrong with the house or something's wrong with this or that. And I'm like, okay, well, let's do this and let's do that and let's do this. And she's like, no, like, I got it. I just want to be validated in my issues right now. And I don't know. I feel like when I'm trying to be a resource to other people too, it's almost out of sense of like obligation. I feel like I've talked about this maybe a little bit before, where I want to help people because I wish that I had somebody who helped me the way I try to help people when my mom died back when I was 14. So in all things that I do, I mean, I know I can confidently say I'm guided by character. I'm guided by integrity. I'm guided by the values that my dad taught into me all of his life. But really, it's more out of a sense of duty, of like these things that I've struggled with, like the hand that life has dealt me cannot just result in me being sad. Like that's not, or like me going to therapy and like finally buckling, getting medication and all the fun things. Like, no, like I really feel super convicted and feel like I want to be a resource to people who want the resource. Because like, again, I've been dealt a shitty hand, and something good has to come out of that.
Yeah.
It just has to.
And that's, like I said, that's kind of what I assumed was, being that person. I often say, like, who comes to save Superman? Like, when you are that person for a lot of people, you have no choice in the matter after a certain point, because they know you to be that person. They know you to be that thing for them. And it's not their fault that they forget that, like, maybe sometimes you need a little bit of support, or maybe sometimes you need to check in. And, I have a couple friends that are getting, like, way better at checking in on me. And, I've had to have that conversation with them enough times that now they're like, hey, how are you doing? And one of the things that I keep telling people is my New Year's resolution forever ago, 2014, I believe is what it was, started out with, I just want to tell my friends I'm proud of them more. And that has cycled all the way to now, where I can talk to random strangers on the internet about their life, So,
we're not strangers anymore.
Yeah, exactly. See, that is exactly what I'm saying, is now we're not strangers, because I was willing to jump in and say, hey, this person is out here putting themselves out. I can see that. I can appreciate the bravery that took. I'm going to give them a shot. I'm going to figure out what happened. And, that started with a simple, I just want to tell my friends I'm proud of them more, in 2014. And, I want to become a support system for people, because I don't feel that I've had it. And one of the things that I've done, and this is, like I said, I hope you learned something today. This is one of the tips. Don't do this thing, because this is what kicks my intrusive thoughts off probably more than anything else, or at least gets that, like, cycle going, where it gives them the, like, hey, this motherfucker, he's slipping. We might be able to get in here. I do this thing on Facebook where I look through my Facebook memories, right? And everybody has Facebook memories pop up. And the thing that I look for is not like, oh, that was a fun memory, or, oh, this is a fun memory. I look at how many people responded to something I said, or liked something I posted, or if I was saying, hey, does anybody want to hang out? Because I want to do something. And I remember that moment, but, it was like crickets. And then I look at, 2012. 2013, 2014, 2015, 2016, all the way to now. And there's very few. But then, I post something about my family or my wife or, Derby or something like that. And it's like 56 likes and 172 comments, like all these crazy things. And it's like, oh, so you care about them and you care about that part of my life, but you don't care about my actual life. And it always makes me, like, rethink it. And Angie, if you are listening to this, you are consistently the only person that pops up all the time as having liked something from way back when till now. And I will
shouts out Angie.
Yeah, I will always appreciate you for that. One of my first friends when I moved to this state, his wife. So it's awesome. And we hated each other when we met each other, or we just didn't get along. So it's like awesome that's where it's gone. But either way, like I said, that's a thing to not do. Don't get caught up in that. And I'm trying to actively not look at my Facebook memories more often now, just so I don't, like, kick that feeling off. And, reflecting on having support, like you said, like, I want to support everybody I can, because I know what it feels like to not be supported. And that's why, when I texted you and you were like, hey, are you good with doing it on Sunday? It meant so much, because it was like, damn, somebody heard me. They're showing up. They want to do something to, like, express the feelings, because what I'm feeling is important. I'm important. Mm-hmm. I mattered to somebody.
Well, also, crazy concept, Matt, but I believe, based on my knowledge, expertise and education, that we probably aren't the only two people who struggle with intrusive thoughts.
Wow. Yeah. Damn.
And you've certainly marketed this this experience in this community as a wide the fuck open book, mm-hmm. right? So I didn't even really understand what intrusive thoughts were until I got super serious about figuring out all of my mental health issues, mostly when I became a mom, and I wanted to deal with my shit. And yes, a lot of my intrusive thoughts come from my post-traumatic stress disorder, which LOL, we can do a whole other damn podcast about that. But imposter syndrome is so difficult for me. And I don't know if you ever experience it or like in what context you do. I experience it all the time at work, Matt. Yeah. So I don't know if you do.
So while you were talking, I was like, I'm going to look up the definition, because you we've done that before on the therapies. So I was like, I'm gonna look up the definition, and the definition for intrusive thoughts are unwanted thoughts, images, impulses, or urges that occur spontaneously or that can be cued by external, internal stimuli. Typically, these thoughts are distressing, hence intrusive as what they're called, and they reoccur, and that's literally what it is, my, like I said, the Facebook memories, cue it, that kind of thing. So experiencing intrusive thoughts, per definition, I imagine a lot of people, if not most people, are affected by it. And, like you said, work, any of that, everything, so many things can cause you to go down that rabbit hole. And once you're in it, like Alice, you just better hold on. That Cheshire cat is about to start smiling. So just ride the wave.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I feel hot take, which please feel free to disagree with me. I feel like as a generation, millennials and younger might struggle more with intrusive thoughts because we have always been told by our elders and those who were in the workplace mentoring us that our generation's lazy, that we have had it so easy, that we just come in and demand all these things. We feel entitled to everything. I don't know. I think I'm just making, as you're saying that, I feel like I'm making a weird parallel to, intrusive thoughts in the workplace. And maybe I don't know if it's just a generational thing, but, I feel it. I work in a very male dominated field. I've done a lot of cool things, and I feel like I have tripped and fallen into every opportunity that I've ever had. And so that's why it makes it super easy for imposter syndrome to show up. But no, I have a supervisor who's wonderful right now. And he says, I know for a fact that you have worked hard and earned everything. You have that old school work ethic. And I'm like, okay, here's maybe another tie into the generational thing, because why does it have to be old school? Why can't work ethic just be work ethic? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. A constant. All right, so
us damn millennials,
hot take on your hot take, and like you said, feel free to disagree with this, but I think we have gotten to the point where we believe in ourselves that it is okay to feel our feelings and want that to be respected, where it's like, oh, well, you are asking for too much, because I just want you to respect the fact that I am going by this pronoun, or that I am going by, this thing is important to me. Please respect it. I am more than my skin color. I have more to offer to this particular job than just the fact that I can punch a clock and be in this building. Wow.
I can tell you a new piece of information because even though I have a uterus and I'm young.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that could be part of it. And that's like, you were one of the things that I learned, and I didn't know this. You were talking about PTSD. I didn't know that you could get classified with PTSD, and it can be multiplied. It could be times 2, or it could be, compounded with other things. I was unaware of that until somebody I know got diagnosed with PTSD from separate events that they dealt with their entire life that were unrelated, but because the trauma was still equal levels of trauma in vastly different areas of the brain or of their life, whatever it is, it affected them drastically. So anything that they deal with is now through the lens of PTSD from this thing, but also PTSD through this opposite thing that could affect them, going into a situation where, one of them was racism, and that's always terrible. But, a situation where they should be respected could be triggering just because of the PTSD from the other thing. And then on top of that, racism being so important, like such a integral, part of their life for so long, growing up in, the late 70s, early 80s. Like, I think that's such a wild thing that you can stack. It's like, Jenga blocks where you just keep stacking all of the trauma. I didn't know that was a thing until I found that out. So, damn. That's
a really interesting concept. And also, when I'm just like picturing all my issues as Jenga blocks. Damn, that fucking tower's tall.
So I did an interview with somebody, and they said they were talking about I have dyslexia, and they were talking about how like I see the world in like 3D, basically, like that's part of the like a trait of somebody with dyslexia, and it made so much sense because like I have to make analogies to something physical, and like Jenga blocks was the first thing that like I could like 3D construct, and every time that happens now I'm just like, damn, that is a thing. Wow. So there you go.
That's so cool. Oh my gosh.
Side note.
That's so cool.
Yeah. I want to talk to you about the, imposter syndrome, and you kind of brought it up. Cause I have a different take on that, and I want it before I spill my take.
First, can we look up the definition of imposter syndrome?
Yeah, we can. I will look that up while you are answering this question.
Okay, go ahead.
So did you have like jumping off point where it seemed like all of a sudden, imposter syndrome was present where before you didn't? Like the way, like an example would be like if you were, an athlete in junior high and high school, and then all of a sudden, as a college athlete, you started to feel like you were inadequate or you weren't this good athlete that you were. Like if there was a time that you felt like it's post and pre.
Yes. Yeah. I think pre for me was undergrad. And I think that's mostly because I went to a liberal arts college, and I really, I was a criminal justice major, and I double minored in criminology and sociology. And I really enjoyed those topics, and all the other classes were like blow off classes. Matt, I took interior design, intro to interior design as a criminal justice major so that I could have a well-rounded education or whatever.
Whoa. I'm just going to say, I could see the background that you have created, and you have put those skills to use. So I'm going to throw away class, but you have used the skills. You did learn something.
Well, thank you. This is all mostly from watching other podcasts and like liking the fact that I like pink. But really, actually, fun fact, I didn't learn shit in that class, and everything for the longest time has been like when I'd go to TJ Maxx all throughout like undergrad and graduate school, it just looked like everything was hobnobbed and like thrown together, because it kind of was. I would not buy something to like put on display in my home unless I could picture myself picking it up and using it as a weapon to defend me. That's a problem.
Yeah.
But so anyways, it was really easy for me to get a lot of approval from my criminal justice professors and like my advisor, because I was just so excited to be there and wanted to learn and do all the things in college. Graduate school beat me down, and I was emotionally abused by graduate school, like probably everybody else who has ever gotten a freaking master's degree. But that's kind of like the in between. And then when I got my first job, I was in a really cool spot in a cool unit in an awesome city. Like had no idea. I just felt like I tripped and fell into this amazing opportunity. And then I needed to trip over myself to prove that they put their faith in the right person, that I was not, I was not a dud. And maybe if that was my motivation, was to prove everyone wrong or to prove them right, that they made the right choice in hiring me, when I failed hard internally in my brain. Or when I succeeded, it was, oh, you just got lucky. Like, come on, you just got super lucky. So I definitely think going into the workplace was my for sure after spot. And it's still something that I struggle with to this day. Absolutely still struggle with all the time.
Yeah. We're going to circle back to that. I wrote a note, but I want to read the definition of imposter syndrome.
Let's do it.
The imposter syndrome is the condition of feeling anxious and not experiencing success internally, despite being high performing in external objective ways. Then it just lists off a bunch of like, you feel like a fraud or a phony or doubting abilities and that kind of thing. And I would say that one's pretty straightforward. As far as imposter syndrome, for what you were just saying, you said, you would tell yourself you just got lucky. And I think that that's something that a lot of people struggle with. That's probably one of the more common things that I've heard when people are like, kind of struggling with imposter syndrome, but haven't really figured out that that's what it is yet. It's like, oh, I'm not that good. I just got lucky. I just whatever. And I heard something and then I read something and they were kind of two sides of the same coin. Number one, it's about a reframe. So I hope that you've gotten to that point where you've reframed it. But for anybody listening, it's about a reframe. Rather than saying you got lucky, you're in the position you're in because you showed some sort of skill to be there. So whether or not you failed prior or you fail after, every success is built upon your ability to manage a situation. So it's not luck because you managed a situation. Luck would be you shouldn't have been there literally in the first place because you had no qualifications. If you went to school, you have the qualification. If you went through an interview, they've deemed you qualified. There are automatic qualifiers to have put you in those rooms. So that's null and void. You don't even have to worry about that part. And every success after that, if it's your first day, then maybe it's a little bit of luck. If it's your 37th day, luck isn't part of the equation anymore. I feel like it's got to be a reframe where you're like, I'm learning, not I'm lucky. Still use that L word, just I'm learning versus I'm lucky. And I thought, wow, damn, that's a good one. So,
oh, that'd be a great Instagram graphic if you ever get that far. Heck yes. Yeah. Also, I'm going to snip that and play it to myself every single morning when I sit down at my desk to start working because yes. And I've talked about how therapy has helped me reframe a lot of things. I think a lot of it has to do with, because I am in a male dominated field, I really wish that I would have had, I would have had somebody that I see myself in mentor me. And I don't necessarily mean gender. I've had female mentors that were a lot more passive than me. I'm not a passive person. I don't know if you know that about me by now, Matt, but I'm like, if I will walk into a room and absolutely say, there is something that every single person and decision maker sitting at this table needs to hear from me right now, period. Sometimes that blows back in my face. It's always coming from a good place. I feel like mentorship is so important in all fields, in my field specifically, but in all fields. And now that I'm finally getting older and I feel like I have some experience, I feel a sense of duty almost to turn around and help combat the version of me that's a couple years behind where I'm at and say, you are in the rooms that you are in because you displayed some kind of skill at some point and help them combat their imposter syndrome because I've been there. Maybe I still struggle with it. I just struggled with it a little bit longer.
Yeah. I think that's one of those, like, I love that we're doing this right now because, for me, I look at two people doing a podcast and putting ourselves out there with zero fear. It's not about not being somebody that suffers with, imposter syndrome. It's about not letting it define you and stop you. And I love that about you because I wouldn't have, offhandedly known that was something that you dealt with. But, when you said that, I was like, ooh, definitely something I want to talk about because I and this is where we differ on it, I guess. I get people that say, "Oh, you just have imposter syndrome," because I know my level of success and I know what I'm capable of, and I often think that I'm probably one of the few people that a lot of people know that understands almost specifically to a T what I am and am not capable and are not capable of, whatever, however you word that.
Yeah, it's fine.
So like I look at derby and my roller derby career, I was my first team, I was treated as, you know, a second rate citizen, and I did everything I was supposed to do. I was a player that didn't sacrifice penalties. I was a player that played it smart and didn't sacrifice the lead, so that the player that did sacrifice penalties and take a bunch and, you know, also score a bunch of points, like, he's really good and he scores a bunch of points, but it's a certain level of like, I had to be something less than so that that person could play the way that they play. And that kind of sucked. So then it also made my opinion seem like it mattered less. And I rose to be voted captain of that team. And I was still treated like a second rate citizen, in my opinion. And that was when I was like, man, I might be done with this. And I don't have imposter syndrome in that situation. I'm not being treated fairly, because every bit of skill that I possess and every bit of skater that I am should prove that that's not a thing. I haven't said this openly to like anybody really ever, but roller derby is the opposite of what you were kind of just talking about in a male dominated world. Roller derby is a female dominated world. And I believe that is an absolute amazing thing. It should be. It is a place where that should be 100% the norm. And while everybody can play, it is a sport where women can come together, support each other, and do something badass. And I think that that's amazing. So I didn't feel like I should take up any more space than just a player in the game, because it wasn't for me. I'm there, I'm enjoying it, but I'm a spectator. It's not my world. And when I decided that I was going to leave that team and retire, I got offered the opportunity to coach another team. And, you know, through some drama, I thought I was going to be an assistant coach. I ended up being like chosen as the head coach. I don't know what happened. Wasn't sure. Wasn't ready for that. But I stepped into that role. Is that
your imposter syndrome talking, Matt?
A little bit, but also I stepped into that role and did the best that I could. And whether I was a good coach or not, I think, you know, delivering a championship to my team, for me, is the level of success that I set, because I know that I should be capable of that. It doesn't mean that I have imposter syndrome because I feel like I didn't do the best job I could do as a coach. I might not have been the best coach, and I might not have reached every player. And to me, that's a failure, but it's not a failure in the sense that like I'm not a coach. I am a coach, and I have the ability to coach a lot of people in a way that other people don't, because I try and see them. They are people first and players second. And once you understand that, the rest is just fairy dust. It doesn't matter. But, you know, I went back to playing after being a coach. And one of my favorite moments is it's called an apex jump. We've talked about it maybe once or twice on here before, but regardless, in the corner, usually you jump the narrowest part of the corner. So like literally you are jumping from one side of the corner to the other side of the corner, trying to skip over people, because you score points by passing people. It's not doable in a lot of situations. You have to plan for it. You have to be good at it, but also you have to be brave enough to do it. So I had one of, in my opinion, the biggest apex jumps I've ever seen. I jumped the biggest part of the corner, from open of the corner to exit of the other corner. So like it was a huge jump. I don't win MVP trophies almost ever. And does that hurt my ego? Just a little bit, because I feel like I've done better, and you always give it to the same people. So that kind of sucks, but like whatever. So I hit this apex jump, and it was the first time I've heard everybody cheer, because it was just insane. Not that they were cheering for me or against me. It was just like, oh my God, that just happened. And there's a picture of it. And I went back to the bench, and in my head, I was like, I still won't win MVP. And I did not win MVP. And I was like, if that apex jump does not secure me an MVP award, then nothing ever will, and I will never be given the respect that I am due, in my opinion. And to me, that's not imposter syndrome. That's a group of people discrediting what I'm capable of and giving me the lens of, oh, you know you're good, so it doesn't matter. That's not how that fucking works. You still need to support people. You still need to show people the respect that they're owed, even if it's only every once in a while. I'm an egotistical, arrogant asshole. Cool, awesome. Doesn't mean that I didn't just spank your ass. Like, it doesn't make a difference. If I perform better if my presence on that track, or my presence in this room, or my presence in that, in that board meeting, or with this group of, interns, whatever it is, if my presence is sorely missed because I'm not there, then that means that I belong in that room. That means that I belong on that track. That means all of those things that an imposter syndrome would tell you don't. And I don't feel that way. I feel like it was a lack of respect. It was a lack of understanding that, like, you could include me in this world and pay me just a little bit of respect, or you could keep coming to me asking me for advice here. Hey, my skates are doing this. Hey, my wheels are this. Hey, can you teach me how to apex jump? Hey, how do you do this thing that you do? Because that's wild. That's you trying to use me for what I'm capable of, not you trying to support me. And that's where I draw the fucking line. Like I said, this is going to be 50% rant, 50%, like, knowledge. But that was just something I've never spoken about that with many people. So saying it here, for whoever ends up popping in to listen to this episode, like, legitimately, I loved the time that I played. I was just a spectator in a world. I was a visitor. I was an alien. That was never my world. And I understand that, and I can live with that. But it doesn't mean that the next person that goes to that world should be treated that way. Everybody should be trying to make it as inclusive as possible in a pay-to-play sport. You are doing the right thing, in my opinion, by trying to be that, example with imposter syndrome. And like I said, this is where we kind of separate out from it, but then come back together, where, like, what you're doing and, what you were saying about, like, showing that next group of people that you can do this in spite of that. That's what I tried to do. When I stayed longer than I wanted to stay, it was because I love my team and I wanted to be the example of, I fucking hate this and this is, like, hurting me, but I'm still good at it and I still owe you just a little bit of support because I know that there's still work to be done and I enjoyed that part of it. So I stayed. I continued to coach even though I wasn't fully happy. And then I made the decision to leave and I started a podcast and did a bunch of other stuff. So I think I came out all right.
Okay. Jesus, Matt. First and foremost, apex jump sounds hard as shit, but I also trip over flat surfaces, so I don't know if I'm the best person to judge.
Yeah.
I feel like that says a lot about you, your character, your integrity, that, you recognize your worth. Are there other areas of your life where you have seen, I am not being valued the way that I probably should be, or that I feel that I should be? And what that experience maybe was like? I don't know if you've ever had that experience at work or with friends or family, or, like, what's another example of a time that you felt the same type of feelings?
Work, it's happened quite often. I've been in that situation at work a lot, different places, different things, different reasons. Long story short, I used to work in a movie theater. We had a girl come in. She was being stupid at the box office. I was trying to get her to calm down before she went in the theater, because I was like, you can't go in there acting stupid. So I was like, I'm going to give you this ticket, but you need to calm down before you go in there. And she cussed me out for a split second, reached through the box office window, snatched a ticket out of my hand. I looked over at my manager, who was at the next register over, and she was like, go stop her, go get her. Because obviously, like, now that's a problem. She needs to calm down before she goes in there, or she's going to get kicked out before she even goes in, because we're not going to let you go in riling people up. So then I go to the usher's podium, another manager standing there, and I was like, look, you're going to have to calm down. And she starts raising hell and starts being stupid. And I looked at my manager like, I don't know what to do here. What do you want to do? And he was like, no, you're going to have to leave. Like, you can't go in there acting like that. So she got kicked out. And, spins back around. I get banned from the box office, which means I can't get a promotion ever until that ban is lifted, because they deemed I was in the wrong. And I made decisions that my write-up said I made decisions that were for a manager to make. And I don't know if I got thrown under the bus. I have no idea what happened, and I don't care. I just know that was something that I had to live with. And like you said, my integrity, all this stuff. When customers that were regulars of ours found out, they wrote letters saying how unfairly I was being treated. And I didn't ask them to do that. I didn't say do that. It just was a thing. And that made it worse. I almost got fired because of it. I got yelled at by my boss on a personal phone call just because he was so mad. And it's like, cool, all right. And then, again, I left. I was working a job during COVID. I was FFL, and the situation just got really bad. It was a poor store manager. It was poor, like, just management in general, and it was a ton of favoritism. And I couldn't do it. I got headhunted for the position I work now because of my talent and my talent optimization and things like that. So, I was like, yo, I'm just going to leave. And that was what I ended up doing to get out of that situation. Because if I'm not being valued, I got better things to do, which is why I left Derby. I felt like why am I wasting my time here when I could be home with my girls? I love my daughters. I fucking love my daughters. I'm missing time with my daughters to be in a room full of people that don't even talk to me. Why? Like, I love the sport, but I don't love it that much. I love my daughters more,
Absolutely. Man. So I guess maybe we're just on two extreme opposite ends of a spectrum in terms of our specific examples with intrusive thoughts and how it maybe stems into imposter syndrome, or, I don't know. I feel like it's still something that I definitely struggle with, which is why I really try to go and validate other people's knowledge, experience, and education. I'm like, I really wish that somebody would have told me that was a great presentation, and I would love to see more and learn more from you. Like, I don't know. I wish that there were. I don't know. I feel like there's also a lack of conversation about imposter syndrome, at least none that I've been privileged to be a part of, or, or aware of them as they were happening. I wish there were more resources about imposter syndrome, because it also, on the face value, imposter syndrome sounds like made up. Like, that does not sound like something that people really do struggle with, Yeah. I don't know. When I'm, especially at work, and I have one of those intrusive thoughts of like, you have no clue what you're doing. You have no idea why you're here, and you tripped and fell into every opportunity that has been afforded to you. I have one friend, Amber, who I make a point to go and call. She is in the same field as me. We both have been intelligence analysts, and I left her out in Colorado, so I wish I could have moved her home with me. We met and have, just immediately started finishing each other's sentences. Like, we just are cut from the same cloth. I will always call Amber and be like, listen to this shit. And she's like, oh, hell no. Or we'll bitch to each other, be like, our field's gonna be so much better when all these dinosaurs go off and retire, And I think having a support system and having people that you can trust to either validate or invalidate your thoughts when they do come up, that's definitely helped me a lot. Do you have any coping mechanisms with intrusive thoughts to either stop the spiral or correct it once you're through it?
One of them is now reaching out to my friend Kaitlin. That definitely
nice.
Helped. I liked that one.
Hell yeah.
Dub. Like I said, I want to try and start reaching out to people more often when I have that. But the biggest thing for me is usually, I enjoy racing, and I enjoy race related things. So like, if there's perfect scenario is if I'm going into a weekend and there's, I'm having intrusive thoughts because there's almost always going to be a race of some kind on. So I can tune that out, because when I look at a race car, and for a lot of people looking at a race car, it ends up being, like cars going left in a circle, or cars going really fast in a straight line, or cars going zigzags, like whatever it is. I see how much work it takes because I know I know ins and outs of racing, and I know what it takes to build that car. And I understand and can see and read the track and read what that driver's doing or read what that driver's doing by watching it. And it puts me in a different spot, and I'm no longer worried about my problems because this thing is so beautiful to me. And then I remember what I love, and remembering what I love tends to do a really good job of, creating that. On that same thing, I got 2 points that I definitely want to make. And that is, kind of tied into that. It's checking in on your friends. I kind of said it before, but I have this weird superpower that people say, I'll text you and be like, hey, I was thinking about you. Just want to make sure you're doing all right. And people are almost always like, man, I don't know how you do that, but I needed somebody right this second. I appreciate you saying something, reaching out. That was weird. And then the more it happens, the more frequently I'm going to reach out to you, because I know that you're receptive to it. And I think that if you have a friend cross your mind, you don't know why they crossed your mind, reach out to them. The worst it's your friend. The worst they're going to do is talk your ear off for 45 minutes, and you're going to be late to that thing you were going to. Like, get out of here. It's a good thing. It's not a bad thing. Check in with your friends. Check in with your strong friends, especially if the person that checks in on you and you haven't checked in on them. Do it. I think that that's a huge aspect of intrusive thoughts and depression, and all of that is having somebody show up for you and show just a little bit of validation and care, because it doesn't seem that, I think that's for me what it starts from, is feeling like, man, these intrusive thoughts telling me people don't care about me, telling me like, I don't want to be here anymore. Maybe I don't want to be here anymore. And it's not that I'm not good at what I do. It's not that I don't bring something to the table. It's that I'm not, even with all of that, with all of the amazing I bring, it's still not important enough for anybody to say anything to me. And that's the thing that I think a lot of us need, is somebody to just be like, yeah, what's up? Not, hey, so I was wondering, can you do this thing? By the way, I was just thinking about you. How are you? That's not the same thing, man. Like, you just asked me for something. If you're just going to ask me for stuff, just ask me for stuff. Don't add the other shit. Leave the other shit off the table, because that's the fake part. The real part was you just wanted something from me. And I'm fine with doing that, because I know where we stand. I don't like the fake, well, by the way, and to me, that's a problem. So I wanted to make that point. And the last point I wanted to make is, if you don't know, now you know. Meaning, if you don't know how to help, if you don't know how to, like, what to say in that moment, don't try and help. Don't try and do something that you don't know how to do, because you might just be making the situation worse. Just be there. Talk to them. Let them talk to you. Ask them, is there anything that, like, you need to, you want to say, or is there anything that you want to talk about? Or, like, hey, is there anything, like, happy that happened? Is there anything, do you remember that time we did that? Like, try and be a conversation, not try and give them advice, because that might not be what they're looking for. And I think that's such a impactful thing. Me and my best friend love her to death. If we have problems, we're like, hey, are you good if I dump on you right now? Like, are you in a spot where I can emotionally dump on you? Or, hey, I got something heavy. Do you got a second? And that goes so far. And like, I don't right now, you can text me and I'll read it when I have time. Or, yeah, you can send it, but like, I got a minute. Or, absolutely. And all of those things were built over time, because we built that trust. We understand you might not respond right away because you might not be in a spot, or you might not be able to give me the advice that I need. So let me just ask you, like, what do you need right now? And it goes, I don't know what she needs. We live on opposite sides of the country right now. So like, I don't see her. I don't talk to her. I don't get to like read visual cues. It's just a text message. So, to me, that relationship inspires other relationships. And if relationships don't feel like that, then I know that that's not a person I can go to for help. If you don't give me even like the smallest amount of like, I can trust you to respect me enough to ask questions or to not try and do more than what you're capable of doing in that situation, then like, I'm probably not going to talk to you just because I don't want to make the situation worse. And that's nothing against you. It's just, I got to protect me. I got to make sure that I'm good. And if you don't know, now you know. Just say something, man.
Which
like
yes. And I definitely have learned to adjust that type of conversation when my sister calls to vent to me. She explicitly tells me, or I have to make sure I go out of my way to ask. Usually it's she tells me because I just want to like instantly like key somebody's car. You know,
yeah.
that's my fucking little sister. Okay. You know, but she will say, I don't need any solutions right now. I just need to be heard. I just need somebody to tell me that I'm not being an emotional female, or I'm not being like irresponsible, or, you know, I'm not drawing conclusions that are inaccurate or anything like that. Like, my sister is the smartest, most responsible person ever that I know. And I know that people say that about their siblings. Well, maybe not. Everybody says about their siblings, period. Like, my sister 100% has the best head on her shoulders. To her, sometimes all of it takes is, holy shit, I can't believe that person told you that in a work meeting. Can I also just tell you and validate for you how fucked up that is? Because here's another thing that maybe you didn't think about, you know?
Yeah.
That goes so far. So if it's literally taking it to the point where you have open communication, where you're like, yes, hey, do you have time for me to dump on you right now? But also, I don't need any solutions. I just want to be heard. Or, yes, let me dump on you. And then can I also get your feedback about what my perspective is? And maybe if you see things differently, tell me that. Or what would you do if you were in my situation? Communication is fucking key. So
100%
key. And a lot of problems, interpersonal problems or world problems, all of them can sometimes be boiled down to miscommunication or misunderstanding or, you know, things of that nature. Things where one more clarifying question could have saved everybody a lot of heartache.
Yeah.
You know?
I agree. I love that. And that's the thing, like, it's a level of trust, but it's also just a level of understanding that, like, ask a question and not saying ask, like, you know, how are you? Ask a legitimate question, like, what can I offer you in this moment? Do you need me to give advice? Like, that's super simple. That doesn't take much effort to do. So if you're somebody that has friends that are going through some stuff and you're trying to find ways to help, that's a big one. Just ask, like, what do you need? Do you need me to come sit with you? Do you need me to do you just want to like vent whatever it out in a long text message and just, you know, like, I'll respond to whatever part you want me to respond to. You can note them with an asterisk, whatever it is. Find a way to let them open up and communicate, because I think that's huge. Communication is definitely key, and that works in, you know, like romantic relationships, friends, strangers from the internet, whatever it is. You know, like, you just gotta learn to not be afraid to ask that question and say, I don't know what you need right now, and I don't know how to help. I just want to be here for you. And that one sentence can go so much further than you giving a bunch of aimless advice that, like, you think is helping. And they might be like, yeah, thanks for that. And really they're sitting on the other side like, fucking dummy. And that's not helpful to either one of you.
I have some advice for you, Matt.
Yeah.
For your friend who is across the country, I have two very good friends who I have a group message with. And probably about once every other week, one of us will send out to the other two, all right, bitches, how's our mental health? Or like, sup, fuckers, mental health check. And that is 100% what the only responses are allowed to be. Check in with your anxiety, depression, imposter syndrome, intrusive thoughts, all the things that you know about each other because you are friends and you're close enough to know those things about each other. And again, you've built up that trust over time. Yeah. Maybe start that with your friend who's across the country. And it's a great way to check in with each other. And also a good opportunity to say, like, I'm having a great week, actually. It doesn't have to be bitching all the time.
Good, exactly. That's what we've been trying to do. We've been trying to do less complaining or less venting or less like stress relieving conversations and more like I've been sending her like videos of like puppies on Instagram and like stupid dogs and stuff. But yeah, no, you hear that, Kelly? We're going to start a new trend, and I like it.
Hi, Kelly.
I want to give you the time to hit That's What She Said. But before we do that, I want to hit you in the feels.
Oh, fuck.
I don't know if you know, but this, as we record this coming Monday, we're recording on a Monday now, so an episode just dropped. A week from today, your episode where I interviewed you drops. Are you excited?
I'm so excited. I'm also excited once this episode is released and we're having another like I'm rehearing this conversation like what a while from now.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm excited. It's going to be a really interesting direction that I think your podcast is taking because you've had some really great interviews. I've enjoyed a lot of the episodes so far, and I'm
good.
I'm all of a sudden this mouthy idiot that wrote a book and self-published it on Amazon is, surprise, your co-host.
Yeah. So
I hope that goes over well.
Yeah. I love it, and I'm really excited, and the episodes that we've created since then I think are amazing. So I just wanted to hit you with that because I think it's going to be good. So
that's awesome. I'm excited.
Anyway,
I'll be sure to post it.
Yeah, let's roll into That's What She Said. What do you got for us this week?
That's what she said. I want to talk about today. I want to make an announcement to the homies of Holmes Room and to Matt. Maybe you saw my Instagram post earlier today, IDK. I am sober.
Yay.
And that's what she said. No, I'm kidding.
That's awesome.
I wanted to talk about that today just because it's a recent revelation for me. I started wearing a whoop, and I'm obviously a data nerd for a living, but it's been something that I've like noticed as a repeating stressor for me has been alcohol. I'm on day 3 of no alcohol or vape. I also quit vape, and I've been chewing nicotine gum nonstop. But it's not for everybody, and I totally respect those who maybe don't. I'm excited. I feel for the first time that, yes, sobriety for me is going to be challenging. I've just noticed, the last couple episodes that we've talked about mental health and therapy and treatment with medication and things like that. I've spent some more time thinking about my patterns, my repeat patterns of behavior. Where there's a stressor, I cope. I make myself feel better, and then all the things. But I've also noticed a cycle with alcohol where there's a anniversary of, a dead parent, or Mother's Day or Father's Day or some anniversary or my dad's birthday. And honestly, lately it was every day that ended in Y, any reason for me was an excuse to have a drink or two. And sometimes 3 to 8. I'm, open book, whatever.
Yeah.
I've found for me that alcohol is the easy button. It is a very quick way for me to change my mood, change my way of thinking, or just completely avoid what I know is going to be a spiral. And instead, I send myself on another different spiral, especially with the information and data points that I've been getting from wearing a whoop. This is not necessarily a plug for everybody. I just have fancy line charts that tell me about my resting heart rate and shit. I've noticed that my recovery and my body is just sent into a tailspin on nights that I know I've indulged too much and gone on what some people would call a bender. So it is a recent decision. It's one that I'm really excited about, and one that I want to open up to the homies of Homes Room. If you have any experience with sobriety or any resources or cool Instagram accounts, actually, I've been far more intentional with my social media and the things that I'm allowing to enter my face through my phone screen. So if anyone has any experience with sobriety, please reach out. I'm still relatively new to it. It's going really well so far. So
good. I congratulations on all of that. I think that is amazing. It's a big step. I also, I don't have a Whoop. I'm cheap. I have an Apple Watch, and I got it specifically with a similar, like I needed to track my sleep because I couldn't sleep. I couldn't do anything. And I use the data to improve my sleep. So you using the data that you're gathering to improve your life is fucking amazing. So like high five for that one.
So five.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of my friends who I want to try and get on here as an interview, and I haven't had the nerve to ask him to do it because it sounds so self-serving to like ask him about it. But we stopped being as close because he wasn't sober. And I now am so proud of how far he's come and him being sober now. And I think that it would be an amazing conversation for you two to have, just because. So I'm gonna have to try and see if I can work that out.
Oh my God, I would love to do that, Matt.
He's come back from like the edge, and like I said, I can't stress enough. Sobriety is a path for an individual. There's nobody else that can walk it. It's nobody else can make you do it. And to choose that is, so strong, so powerful, because it's only a choice that you can make. Nobody else can. Nobody else can motivate you to do it. People might say, "Oh, I got sober for my kids," or "Oh, I got," but none of that ever matters if you don't do it for yourself first. So the fact that you saw the data, you said, "I want to make this change," and you made the efforts to look at yourself and say, "I need to make this change," and did it. That's amazing. I love it. Well, I am so proud to know you.
Hopefully when this episode comes out, we're much further in the journey, and I have hopefully fun updates to give about the amount of times that I've been able to be a DD to all my friends. So,
there's a couple segments that like we want to try and do, and I know one that I really liked. You'll hear one next week called "Staying Late." So if we have some extra thoughts after an episode, we'll throw those on staying late, and it's like you get stuck in detention, you stay late. Another one is homes work. And homes work is where we talk about something and, it deserves a follow-up where like we want to talk about like what kind of effort is going into it outside of the podcast episode. So like that might be a thing that we can do some homes work on, like things that you've found that work or don't work that we might be able to have some people apply.
Yeah.
And I think that that would be amazing.
I'm still in the stage where I'm looking for resources. I've recently found a new company that makes mocktails, like purposely makes mocktails. Yeah. So I'm excited to give some of those a try. So I will absolutely be doing some homework on this one.
Yeah. Once you decide whether you like it or not, you'll have to let us know what it is. There's like 3 that I know of, and I'm curious at which one it is. So I want to know, because I can't remember the names. I only remember the names when I hear them, and it's like, oh, that's that company. But like, so many people are probably doing it now that like, who knows how many companies there are. So that's maybe some home's work for me to do, is to look into some of that and see what I can find. So, but like always, I love that's what she said. You have not disappointed with the time allotted by your co-host. I think that that guy is amazing. He's very generous. No, I'm just joking. I needed this episode more than anything else because it was fun to talk about. I got, like I said, a little bit venti, a little bit, like some stuff I had to say, but most importantly, I got to have a conversation with somebody that I've grown to like respect, and like that goes so far. So
Thank you, Matt. I again appreciate the opportunity to be an idiot on the internet with you. So
yeah, we're gonna. I talked about doing stickers, and I was like, man, you know what I should do? I need to do a hoodie. One of the things I say a lot is yeah, because like that's just in normal conversation a thing I do. So I was like, I'll do a hoodie where it says it just says yeah in quotation marks and then like the Homes Room logo. And I was like, you know what I'm gonna have to do is we're just gonna have to do like one that says like idiots with internet access.
I'll
like,
design the sticker. I've been breaking out Procreate.
Yeah, you do it.
Let's do it.
And we're going to get some made, and I think it'll be awesome. And then if you do a review on the episode or on the podcast or whatever, or send us some sort of questions or feedback, maybe you'll end up with a sticker and like a handwritten thank you, because that's what I was thinking about doing.
Let's do it. So, absolutely.
Yeah, I think it'll be awesome.
Yes.
So with that said, go review the podcast. Hopefully you'll get a sticker soon. Also, thank you for being here. And thank you for being your awesome self.
Thank you. We will catch you on the next ep of Homes Room.
Yeah. The bell is about to ring. If you want to drop us a voice message or simply ask a question, you can do that by clicking the link in the show notes below. Be sure to leave us a 5-star review. It helps more people find us. Theme music by Kinsey. More music available on Spotify. Remember, every day is a class. Go learn something.